And in the season finale, as Jason A and Daniela and Charlie are reunited back at their house, Jason C, the guy that Jason A met in the bar, has found Jason B, and he's demanding answers, but Jason B doesn't really have any answers. All he knows is that Daniela found out and she pushed him down the stairs. But that doesn't mean Jason C isn't going to continue searching for Daniela, and Jason A knows that. He, Daniela, Charlie, they get in a car and they just drive away. As they're heading away from Chicago, though, both Daniela and Charlie are getting text messages from numbers that they don't know, just begging them to stop, come back. They're not with the real Jason. These are texts coming from other Jasons, trying to reach out. But Danielle and Charlie, they just ignore them because they feel like they're with the real Jason. The problem becomes where to go, because any place that Jason thinks of, they're going to be able to think of it too. They need a place that Jason doesn't know about. And Charlie has that place. One of his buddies, he's kind of rich. They used to throw parties at this house. Charlie knows that it's going to be empty, and they can just sneak in because he has the code. And that's exactly what they're looking for, a place like that. Now, technically, this is breaking and entering, and they're not going to be able to stay forever. But for the moment, it's a perfect spot to lay low and formulate a plan. When the dust kind of settles, though, and they both get settled in this house, both Daniela and Charlie are a little bit shell-shocked. They, along with Jason, know that their lives are never going to be the same after this. In the middle of the night, Jason can't sleep, so he decides to go check his email. As you can imagine, there are a ton of emails that he's never seen before, but there's also a folder titled Entanglement, and he's not the one who put it there, so he clicks it. There's only one email in it, and it says, "Welcome home to the real Jason Desson," with a link, and the link is to a chat room. When Jason A clicks that link, he finds out the chat room is filled with all the other Jasons, and there's probably about 100 of them. All of them claiming to be the real Jason, but all of them kind of talking about where Daniela is, where Charlie is, how to get to him. It's like they're working as a team, but they're also not working as a team. They're working as individuals. And as Jason A is looking through all of this, he's getting private messages from other Jasons with the same thing. All saying, hey, do you want to partner with me? We could team up and take out the others. But because it's all the same person, this is going to everybody. All of them are receiving it, and all of them are getting it. What this does, though, is give Jason A an idea of just how many Jasons are out there. And he never, in a million years, would have thought it was this many. The next morning when Jason A wakes up, he faces a very, very conflicted and confused Daniela. She's starting to realize at this point that she kind of sort of cheated on her husband, but it was with himself. She starts talking to Jason A about how different this other Jason was, how good he made her feel. And Jason A understands. He starts explaining what led Jason B to his world. He can understand that, especially after all he went through to get back to his Daniela. He then starts talking to her about all the other Danielas he met throughout his travels and how different they were from his own. Eventually, the conversation does end up going into the fact that there are about 100 Jasons running around, all thinking that they're Daniela's Jason. The crazy scenarios and bargaining that they've done to try to figure out who ends up with Daniela and Charlie. One such thing being they can just trade off, kind of do a shared parenting custody battle thing. As those two chit-chat, back at their actual house, Jason C is still trying to figure out where they are. He checks the bank records and there's nothing, and he knows that a predictable location isn't going to fly. It's too easy, so it's got to be an unpredictable place. He grabs a cell phone that was allegedly taken from him, and he notices a text from Blair asking for her car back. And he figures out that Jason A has Blair's car, so wherever Blair's car is, Jason A is, but more importantly, so is Daniela and Charlie. Now he just has to figure out if Blair has like a tracking device on that vehicle. So he texts her and asks her to come over. And as he waits, he decides to torture Jason B a little bit. First, he tells him what happened with Amanda, at least the Amanda that he had with him. She died. And when Jason B hears that, he's pretty devastated. Jason B also feels really bad about what he did, because he truly believed that he was sending Jason to a better world, to a world that he would have wanted, a life that he would have wanted. He never thought about the fact that he was taking Jason away from a life that he actually liked. He just thought he was giving him an upgrade. Now he realizes it's far from that. A little while later, Blair does eventually come over, but she's greeted by nobody at the door. She stumbles in the house, she stumbles upstairs, and that's where she finds Jason B tied up in the closet. She's freaked out. She's even more freaked out when Jason C comes around the corner. First thing he does is admit, this is strange, I understand that, but for Daniela's sake, I need you to do something for me. I need you to track your car's location if you can. And Blair can, she just doesn't want to. She's too freaked out. That's when Jason C pulls a gun on her, but Blair is able to get it away from him when she maces him right in the face. With a gun pointed at both Jasons, she demands to know what the hell is going on. Once they do explain it, Blair ends up giving the location of Daniela because she wants to help out her friend. But Daniela, Charlie, Jason A, they're unaware. They're kind of just playing catch up a little bit. Daniela getting reacquainted with her husband and realizing, yes, this is the man that I love. And that night, she actually signs onto the message board and lets all of them know, I've chosen, and it's none of you. So please respect that decision. Daniela hopes that this will put an end to the constant barrage of Jasons coming and trying to track them down and convince her to go with them. Unfortunately, it doesn't. When Blair gave up the location of Daniela, Jason B headed to the house, but he had no idea that one of the Jasons put a tracking device on the Honda that he drives, which attracted all of the Jasons to that house. So the house that they're currently in is flooded with Jasons, all trying to get to Daniela, all trying to get to Charlie. At first, Jason A is trying to fight them off, but he's actually saved by Jason B, who at this point has done a complete 180 and needs to make good on all the mistakes that he made. He fights off a couple of the other Jasons, throws Jason A the keys, apologizes for everything he did, and then says, take my car and get them to safety. The last thing he does is give Jason A his wedding ring back. They're still not out of the woods, though. When they're driving off, they're getting shot at. They're literally hitting other Jasons trying to flee. But they do eventually end up getting away from the house. The problem is they don't know what to do next. As they're trying to formulate some kind of plan on where they can go, Charlie notices that Jason B left them something. And that something is a box full of the serums. He also left a cell phone recording trying to explain his actions. He tells Danielle that when he entered that box, he was filled with regret. But then one day he entered a world and he found a family. That family had been created through a choice that he was too scared to make. At first, he was just envious, and he thought it was all about Daniela. But then he realized that the thing he wanted most were just the decisions that Jason A had made. And the biggest one being that he allowed space in his life for somebody else's dreams and needs. He goes on to say that there's no apology sufficient to explain what he's done, or justify it for that matter. He just hopes that they can find a new home where they can be safe. Jason A knows exactly what he has to do. He drives to the location of the box, but he's greeted there by a bunch of the Jasons. Amazingly, though, they're not there to fight him. No, they're actually just there to say goodbye to Danielle and Charlie. They respect Danielle's decision. They just wanted to be there to see them off. And with a bunch of Jasons watching, Jason A, Charlie, and Daniela get in the box and they try to find a new home. And that is the end of Season 1 of Dark Matter. Thank you so much for getting this part of the recap. I really appreciate it. Consider subscribing to the channel. Hit thumbs up if you like this. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought this sucked. I'm sure somewhere out there, Pat B is a much better recapper than me. But unfortunately, in this world, you're stuck with Pat A. So, sorry about that. Go buy a mug. Go buy a shirt. I got merch and I got bills. And I recently got laid off, and that sucks. So, help a guy out by just, buying stuff. And if this show gets picked up for Season 2, I'll be right back here.